I had a conversation with John Powell about this. He was talking about the difference between knowing what you're doing and being in control of what you're doing. And I think it's something I definitely want to share with people. John Powell worked with John Williams on Solo, the Star Wars story. And John and I were talking about this, and he was like, look, I don't know what I'm doing. And that might seem like some shocking revelation, but I don't know what I'm doing. But that doesn't mean I'm not in control of what I'm doing. I know the decisions that I want to make to get me to the point where I need to be. But to say that I know what I'm doing, I mean, nobody really knows what they're doing. And hearing this from one of the people I look up to most as far as, musical caliber, and especially as far as I understand him as a person, I mean, he's wonderful. He will always take the time to have an actual level-headed conversation with you. And it was really cool. And he said the same of John Williams. He was like, he looks up to John Williams the same way that I look up to him. And he was like, getting to work with him was wonderful. But even looking up to John Williams, seeing him work and talking with him, I was kind of shocked that he also didn't have this air about him that he knew what he was doing. But it was very clear that he was in absolute command of what was going on at any given second in a session, in conversation about direction and like this kind of thing. I mean, it's fascinating, again, to hear the people that you respect so much talk about their process,
Right.
and how that can inform you and how you approach that kind of thing. So working with Akil on this proof of concept, I had to know that I was in control of this beast that we were trying to make. I mean, it was a really unique score idea, and perhaps at some point the feature will be made and released, which is kind of the goal. That's where we're at right now is funding. But it was a really unique take. It was something that I hadn't really done before in a voice that I'm familiar with, the orchestra. But how do you score a nightmare comedy when that's not really something that, and it's shot to film. Again, it's in black and white, and it's not an animation. It's trying very hard to be something that hasn't been made before, respectfully so as well, because it's paying so much attention to the craft. But it was a really, really interesting time for me to try and do something that I hadn't done before in a voice that I am comfortable in, knowing that I am in control of what I'm doing, but not feeling like I know what I'm doing at all. And I mean, I think that's something, hopefully, if there are other film composer viewers or listeners to this, I mean, hopefully this is something that we can kind of relate to, because it's something that we're going to, again, I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, but Alan Silvestri says the same thing. Every time I look at a blank page, it's the same feeling, So yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but again, it's that kind of call to curiosity, how am I going to do this? And I think the final product was something I certainly was proud of. I absolutely could have made it better. Listening to it and watching it, I would have done something very different. But that learning process, especially with the words of wisdom from, your graders, it's so much fun. And I can't wait for the next time to get to do it.
You mentioned earlier that you think a lot about things. I'm the same way. And one of the things that I always come back to when I'm getting stressed over the work I'm doing or the projects I'm taking on, or it's like, I'm just making all this up. We're all just making it all up. Like,
yeah.
And also it's not like I'm like operating on someone's body, like a brain or something,
right.
I'm not a neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's so important that you surely cannot know what you're doing, but still be in control of the work that you do. And I think that also speaks to standards, and there's all sorts of layers to that I can appreciate.
Yeah. And I mean, I wish I could take credit for that thought, but again, I mean, it's something I had in that moment with John Powell, and it's something I will carry with me, I think, for the rest of my life, because it's comforting. It's comforting to know that the people you look up to most are kind of exactly like you.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Micromaker by Loose Leaf Transmissions. We hope you enjoyed this brief glimpse into the inner workings of the creative life. If this resonated with you, be sure to check out the full conversation on Music Maker with Tyler Kline, a podcast exploring craft and process, philosophy and inspiration, and the honest, often messy parts of being an artist, creative uncertainty, purpose and identity, and resilience. You can find Music Maker wherever you get your podcasts or by visiting musicmakerpodcast.com.